Right, we're off out. Where are we going? Dumfries and Galloway.
Aviation Museum.
Aviation Museum, yeah.
Near Dumfries.
I always say, where are we going? And I think, where the hell are we going?
Take the second exit from the roundabout and follow the A701. Then take the first exit from the roundabout towards Dumfries.
Right, so we're going straight across. We're not going down the M74. We're going on the 701.
Going down that little windy road, haven't we?
Quite a nice ride, isn't it? It's past the forest place that is spelt A-E. We asked someone who lives near.
In 190 yards, take the first exit from the roundabout and follow the A701 towards Dumfries.
How do you pronounce it? And they just said A.
How else would you pronounce it? Towards J Bridge.
Yeah, Johnson Bridge.
Please follow the road for 16 miles.
Tinwald.
In 300 yards, turn left onto Catherine Field Road.
Where is it here?
Now turn left.
Catherine Field Road.
Yeah. Catherine Field Road.
I think there might be a few signs, wouldn't you?
It would be helpful, wouldn't it?
And the road bends round to the right.
Yep.
Oh.
And it'll bend round really sharply to the right shortly. And when it bends round really sharply to the right, we should be able to see it.
Yeah, it's going round to the right.
Yeah. When we get round there, yeah, I can see an aeroplane.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, behind that building there, you'll see it as you come round the corner. But yeah, see, lightning.
Oh yeah. English electric lightning. It's a bit of a giveaway, isn't it?
That's where it's pointing down there.
Okay. Park next to the lightning. So this is a fingernail, as Glyn put it. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And we'll have a picture of the sign as well, I think.
Have you checked the sound's all right?
Yep, sound was all right.
Good. Stop it.
You excited, Pops? Hey, you excited?
You should be following that dog.
Oh, there's a dog, is there?
This dog's just gone in.
Let's just have a picture of the sign and I can stick that up there somewhere, can I?
Yep.
There we are. Loads of models here, aren't
Yeah, got Lancaster.
there? I like that one up there.
My dad trained as a navigator on a base in Dumfries and Galloway at RAF Wigtown. There's not much of that left, apart from the fact I saw an old photo of it.
Yeah.
And the control tower looked just like
that. Yeah.
So there's going to be like reconstructions, aren't there, what a base was like, and I'm thinking it would be really like
What
my dad
was like,
yeah.
Because we went to Wigtown and we went to Wigtown Airport and it was just a concrete strip, wasn't it? That was all that was left of it. It was quite disappointing.
Yes.
So we're hoping that we'll see some reconstruction of that.
And it may well mention the base because it says they mention other bases in the area.
Yeah.
We use for training.
Yeah.
I've got an extract from his logbook showing that that's where he was.
Lovely old signs.
Yeah.
Puritas sheep dip. John Bull, long service tyre.
I've seen that sign on petrol stations in old
would
films, yeah. It's the home front in there.
Dalbeattie Fine Foods.
We're in the shop.
Oh yeah, that's brilliant.
Cornflakes.
Spam. Well, you remember Spam? I used to eat Spam. Cadbury's. Little Kit Kat, Mars.
Yeah.
Some of the names I still recognise.
Rolo, I mean, used to have that.
Very important. Whether you usually shop at Sainsbury's or not. And Rinso. Izal. Oh, I remember that toilet paper.
Oh,
We're doing some more toilet paper.
But not that though. Gas masks and everything in there.
Oh, good grief, yeah. Look at this. On with your school bag. Leave the children where they are. But it's obviously about kids that were brought away, weren't they? From the big cities.
Yep. There's the kitchen and you know, there's bowls, there's cream bowls, I've had a load of those. Chairs and the radio.
Radiogram? Yeah, look at the radiogram. That's a Singer sewing machine, isn't it?
Yeah, Mum had a Jones that was similar
Jones,
to it.
very similar to that.
It was
with
about
a
this
pedal
time.
option at the bottom?
No, I don't remember that, I just remember the sewing machine.
She had that picture.
Yeah, she
The
did.
Haywain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Copy of the Haywain.
Yeah, she definitely had that.
Memorial garden here. It says this 24-cylinder engine of 1700 horsepower was one of the engines that powered the Blackburn B-21 flying boat and caught in the nets of a fishing boat and brought to the surface. The engine was on display at the Rolls-Royce Museum at Glasgow before arriving Dumfries. The least known British aircraft designs of the Second World War, although the project was abandoned in 1940, only one of its type was ever built. Sadly, on 7th of April 1940, the aircraft crashed while doing high-speed runs over the Firth of Clyde.
Oh, killing 3 of the 5-man crew.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Wow. So this is the Loch Doon Spitfire.
That looks like my dad's original car.
Sure it's not?
Might well be.
No, that's a Wolseley 8 then. And your dad had a...
No,
this is a Morris 8 and your dad had a Wolseley 8.
Yeah, so very similar in the back. Yeah, it almost sometimes not flick out at all. And you'd have to do hand signals out the window. And it had a starter handle.
Yeah, it's like
Didn't have a, I don't know. Yeah, it's in there.
There's the wartime headlights. A slightly different one, that, doesn't it? So that was a Morris 8, yeah.
Well, the whole Spitfire story started back in 1976 when the curator of the museum, David Reid, who's about there somewhere, came to the local Sub-ACA club, of which I was a member, and said, "There's a Spitfire in Loch Doon, would you like to go and have a search for it?" So we did a bit of research, and we got necessary permissions from the Ministry of Defence and the landowners and the likes, and we found a man who, as a 12-year-old boy, had seen the plane crash in the loch. So we got him on site, and he could tell us roughly when the plane had crashed. You have to remember, this is 40 years after the event. So anyway, that was a good starting off point for our research. When we started the dive operations, we found that there's a lot of peat in the water, so the visibility was poor. And when we got onto the bottom of the loch, there was a very fine silt, almost like a dust. If you go anywhere near it, it stirs up and you really can't see a thing. So the whole search was done by field touch. So anyway, we devised a search method that took this into account, and we started off. And, eventually, we started to get some help from various divers up and down the country who had heard about us through the diving magazines and the likes. In particular, an advanced project group from the Blackpool area, they were looking for a new project, and they used to come off the weekend. They had quite a few experienced divers, and that helped things considerably. However, after 4 years, we'd found nothing. And we decided in 1982 that this was going to be our last year of searching. Coincidentally, we were moving into a new search area, and eventually we did find the Spitfire. What we found was the fuselage from just behind the cockpit and back, and all the tail, it was all intact. You'll see from the film and these pictures in the first information board there, what we actually found. Obviously it was in a poor state. However, you can see the tail there, that's on the film at the moment. We then had to continue the search for quite a while after that to find the rest of the plane. We still had to find the engine, the cockpit, the wings, and as much debris as we could to help us with the rebuilding process of the Spitfire. So the search went on for quite a while. Because we had found the fuselage, we got the number for the plane, P7540. So that meant we could research its past history. But remember, this is before the days of the internet and Google search and what have you. However, we did find out that the plane had first served in late 1940 with the 66th Squadron based at Gravesend, Kent. Then, early 1941, it was transferred to 2 other squadrons briefly. By the time it was 6 months old, it was deemed to be obsolete. So it was given to a Czech squadron as a training Spitfire. I mean, the speed of development of the Spitfire during the war was such that if it lasted 6 months, it was well out of date. But ours was used as a training Spitfire. Now, the Czech squadron at the time was based at Prestwick in Scotland. When we were searching for the debris, I was lucky enough to find the engine. That's the actual engine from it there. It was 2 feet below the silt at the bottom of the loch. But that really preserved it, and it's pretty much in working condition to this day. The pilot, unfortunately, lost his life in the plane, and his remains were never recovered. He was Francis Hickel. He was a Czech pilot who, at the start of the war, flew with the Czech Air Force. Then, when they were invaded, he escaped into Poland and flew briefly with the Polish Air Force. He was taken prisoner by the Russians, escaped, and made his way all the way across Europe to India. Then somehow or other he managed to get himself to the UK and join the Royal Air Force. And after some initial training in the south of England, he was assigned to the Czech squadron, as I say, was based at Prestwick. So that's where he first met our Spitfire. Unfortunately, on his second flight, he drove over Loch Doon and Dumfries airstrip border, and he was too low over the water, and he tried to bank round, and the wing hit the water, and the plane cartwheeled and broke up. Unfortunately, he lost his life at the age of 26, after having achieved so much before that. However, what makes makes this plane a little bit special is thanks to this gentleman here. This is Flight Lieutenant Byeee. This is the flight log of our Spitfire when it first went into service in October 1940, from October to December. It's flown almost exclusively by Flight Lieutenant Byeee. Now he became quite a famous Spitfire pilot during the war. He was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross 3 times during the war, which in itself was quite rare. And after the war, he was the first pilot to fly a jet across the Atlantic Ocean to America and Canada. It was 46 hours across the Atlantic. After he left the Air Force in 1968 as a group captain, he wrote a book called Spitfire Command. And in the book, one section of the book, he's telling about this part in the Battle of Britain. Sometimes he mentions dates from his own flying logbook. There's one date in particular, the 14th of November, intercepted a large cargo of Ju-87 Stukas, escorted by numerous 109s. That's Messerschmitts. If you look at the same date for our plane, 14th of November, Flight Lieutenant Oxford, interception patrol, engaged ME-109s and Ju-87s. So we know for a fact, on that one day at least, and probably others as well, but in that one day at least we know for a fact he was flying that plane in the Battle of Britain. And that's what makes it special. There's only a handful of Battle of Britain Spitfires left. That could have been a Mark 1 or a Mark 2. This is a Mark IIa. The Spitfire went from, before the war, the initial, there was a Mark 1 first flown in 1936, then went through to the Mark 24 after the war. So this is a 2A. The only other Mark 2 Spitfire is this one here that still flies with the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight based in Coningsby, in Lincolnshire. So when we got all the bits back to the museum here, we didn't have the facilities, we didn't have the knowledge, the capability, the equipment, anything that could rebuild a Spitfire. So all that had to be learned and got over the years. The best we ever had on the site here was a polytunnel, and that was our workshop, a workshop like we have now. We had a polytunnel, that was the best we had. So it was all you built in a polytunnel after we learned what to do and how to do it. When we came to the cockpit, we wanted to make sure the cockpit was built like a Mark II would have been. So we went down to Coningsby, we've been all over that Spitfire to make sure that we rebuilt it as it would have been. We used that as a template. And the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight would tell us what to do and more importantly what not to do. However, they did stress that we shouldn't be too hung up on originality because there's a constant upgrade going on all the time during the war. Constant updates going on. So we got the fuselage more or less completed, and we couldn't buy bits for the cockpit. We didn't have the money to buy the bits that were missing or the bits that were damaged. So we had to remake bits from the bits we found. We had to remake them, and bits that were missing, we had to find out what was missing, and we had to make a lot of fittings and so on for the cockpit ourselves. When it came to the wings, what we had left of the wings was pretty well unusable. And as I say, there's no way we could afford to buy wings for a Spitfire. Far too expensive. However, we did get a letter from a lawyer to say that this lady had died and would be left some money. Now, her and her husband had met here during the war, and they had visited the museum in its early days, and the husband had subsequently died. Then, when she died about 5-6 years ago, the family decided, they were obviously quite wealthy, they decided to leave money to a whole host of charities, including our museum. So we were left with that money that allowed us to buy a set of glass fibre wings for the Spitfire. So that's a compromise that we made. So then we had to take the fuselage down to Cornwall to get the wings fitted. But the advantage of the glass fibre wings is that we can take them off quite easily, take the plane outside, put the wings back on for special events. But that was a compromise. Then I turned my attention to try and find Bobby Oxford's family to let them know the Spitfire had been found, recovered and restored. And I traced them to the Grantham area in Lincolnshire. And I didn't find out much more than that. However, in my son's in the Air Force, he found Bobby Oxford's grave in Cranwell Village Cemetery near RAF Cranwell. And in RAF Cranwell, they've got a college there, and they've also got a Hall of Fame. And in the Hall of Fame, there's a duplicate set of Bobby Oxford's medals and some other bits and pieces the family had donated. So I was able to find out from Greta that they still had contact with his granddaughter, who lived quite close by. So my son went to see her, and I got an email address, and I emailed her and told her the story of the search, recovery, and restoration of the plane. And I sent a photograph of it as it is. We built a shed ourselves, especially for it. I sent a photograph of it as it is now, and I got an extremely emotional email back, almost by the time. So she came up here with her 2 children, and they were the first ones to sit in the restored cockpit. And that was a very special day. And she could tell us so much more about her grandfather that we didn't know. When Winston Churchill died in 1965, he got a state funeral. His coffin was carried up the Thames on a barge, then carried through London on a gun carriage, followed by royalty, politicians, friends, family, whatever. But immediately behind the coffin were 5 of the few. The few are specifically the fighter pilots from the Battle of Britain, from Churchill's own speech. Never in the field of human conflict, as so much we know by so many to so few. So 5 of the few were selected to follow immediately behind the coffin. And one of the 5 selected was Bobby Oxford. So he was obviously quite highly thought of at the time. And it's thanks to him we find out so much more about our Spitfire. We didn't know any of this when we dived into Loch Doon, or even for years afterwards, we didn't know any of this story. It's all come to light since. As you're probably aware, the whole museum is a work in progress. So is this display. It's very much a work in progress. And it's thanks to people like you that come to see us, come to visit, and you know, make donation. We've set up donation points around the site for people who wish to help donate, just to keep us going, you know. So thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of history of our Spitfire.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. It's one of these gliders, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that's what this hangar's about, because it's talking about dropping a large
body of enemy lines by Benjamin Franklin using the first manned flight in a hot air balloon. 5,000 balloons. 1784. 5,000 balloons are capable of raising 2 men each. Would not cost more than 5 ships of the line.
Good idea.
It's a lot of balloons. Waco CG 4A Hadrian assault glider. Oh, grief, imagine that.
I know.
On the radio.
There's Pegasus Bridge here, isn't it?
Sorry?
This model.
All right. Yeah, I think it's fair to say, I think he said it themselves, the museum is very much work in progress. But, oh, something over here, RAF Dumfries and the Bomber War. Okay. It's more like it, isn't it? Yeah, so this is a model of RAF Dumfries in the middle of the war. It's a huge aircraft, hangars to the north and training accommodation to the south, and the factory building to the west, and the bomb dump area to the east. Look, your dad might have trained on Avro Anstons.
Yeah, the name just rings a bell. It's a training one. Yeah. Some of his kit at one time. He had.
He still had the jacket.
He still had the jacket.
Yeah.
And he still had the helmet.
Helmet. Wow.
And I think he had the boots. So they look very familiar.
Yeah. What did he do with them?
I can't remember. I just remember him getting them all out once.
Yeah.
Basic navigation tool set.
Yeah. Astro compass. So your dad would have been very familiar with a lot of this then.
They would have, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially all the maps.
Yeah, on the map, yeah. Bomb aiming. A bombing camera. The camera took a picture of a series of photographs when the stick of the bombs landed to assess the effectiveness of the bombing.
There's a radio next door. We're really familiar with that.
Yeah.
Seen these before, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah. The I can't think which one it is now. The Solway one.
It's a Marconi, that one.
Yeah. Designed in 1939.
1954, yeah. That must have been terrifying sitting in that.
Yeah. Tiny space as well. Look at the seat there, just a tiny little seat. And you've got your gun sight there. Just perspex protecting at the front, or not protecting you? Yeah. Can't see anything.
Yeah, in here. It's a wireless operator. It can't see anything, can it?
No.
Yeah, it's a navigator.
This is a seat from a Vickers Wellington. We're just saying it doesn't look very comfortable, but the parachute would be down there, and they've got padded armrests and seats, and they wore a seat-type parachute, which meant they sat on top of the parachute whilst flying the aircraft.
So that's where Dad was.
At Wigtown.
He was training.
Yeah. Opened in 1941 as a one-air observer school. Aerodrome started as a grass airfield but was prone to flooding, so they put concrete runways in 1942. So they used Fairey Battles, Blackburn Bothas, Bristol Blenheims and Avro Anstons.
Yeah, so it was that.
So he did train on Avros.
Yeah, did, definitely.
Occasionally Hawker Typhoon squadrons would arrive on detachment. The site reverted to agriculture with deteriorating runways, occasionally home to light aircraft.
Well, that's what we're seeing, isn't it? I've got some pictures of it.
Yeah. The control tower then. Oh, right. A whole collection of engines. Wow.
Great.
That's quite amazing. That's a Spitfire AD 540. Rolls-Royce engine again. Turbofan engine for jet airliners. Well, what a collection they've got here. Yeah, so this one flew in the Falklands conflict, suffered storm damage on the 15th of June aboard HMS Glamorgan and was lifted ashore San Carlos by a Chinook. Between the 10th and 12th of July, Atlantic Causeway began with the loading of aircraft for the return to the UK. It was transported by road to Calderose. It's great that you can get so close to these aircraft, isn't it? Well, that's some exhaust, isn't it? Wow. I wonder if we can have a look in the cockpit. Some step up there, isn't it, to get in?
Oof.
A climb to
I
get
think
in.
I'd get in there. I did get in, I never get out.
No. Yeah.
I always think of that film Memphis Bell when I see those control
Well, yeah.
towers.
I mean, you saw them sitting on standing up the top there, waiting for the Memphis Bell to return.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. God, I can just about fit through here. Brakes at the back. Yeah, so this striking aircraft is a Hawker Hunter F4. It never saw actual squadron service, but was signed to 5MU and Air Fighting Development Squadron before becoming an instructional airframe in 1960. What is that?
I don't know, I find the
Great
sign
big sort
again.
of thing underneath, isn't it? So it must be a radar dome or something like that. So this strange looking aircraft is a Fairey Gannet. It flew with the HMS Royal Oak and then with HMS Eagle. It was written off and became the Gate Guardian at HMS Gannet, Prestwick Airport in December 1978. The MOD decided to put the aircraft up for tender in January 2006. The museum was successful. It arrived at the site on 13th of April 2006. HMS Ark Royal was scrapped in 1979 and 1980 at Cairn Ryan near Stranraer, parts of which are either side of the aircraft.
Oh,
That's
right,
part
that bit
of
there.
HMS Ark Royal. This must have had one massive engine. Doesn't say what that thing is underneath, but I assume that must have been a radar dome. But look how close that must have been to the... Just sitting on a
ground,
big
yeah.
belly, isn't it, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's it for this tour. Hope you enjoyed watching, and we quite enjoyed the museum. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
That talk on the Spitfire were really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed that. That was really interesting. I mean, how they've brought that up from that. I don't know. So, really good. So if you enjoyed the video, give us both a thumbs up. And subscribe to both our channels.
Yeah.
And we'll bring you many more exciting adventures in the future. So thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.